You woke up this morning with a plan. You knew exactly what needed to get done today. Maybe it was that project you've been putting off. Maybe it was finally starting the thing you've been thinking about for months. Maybe it was just one important email you've been avoiding, and you genuinely meant to do it. But then your phone was right there. And those 5 minutes of scrolling became 20, and 20 became an hour. And at some point, you looked up and half the morning was just gone. So you told yourself you'd start after lunch. Lunch came, and something felt off, a little tired, a little foggy, not quite in the right headspace. So you told yourself, after this one video, after this one episode, after I just decompress for a bit, and now it's evening. And that familiar feeling is creeping in. Not just guilt, it's heavier than guilt. It's the specific ache of knowing exactly who you could be and watching another day pass without becoming that person. You lie there at night making a deal with yourself. Tomorrow I'll actually do it. But here's what you've probably started to wonder. If I really want this, if I can imagine it so clearly, why can't I just do it? I want to tell you something that might change how you see yourself. You are not lazy. You never were. What's happening inside your head is something far more specific and far more workable than a character flaw. And once you understand it, the cycle you've been stuck in starts to make complete sense. Stay with me, because this is going to sound different from anything you've heard before. Here's the thing that nobody tells you. Ambition and action are not the same thing, and your brain doesn't treat them the same way. The fact that you can see your future so clearly, the fact that you feel that restless pull towards something more, that's not a problem. That's actually a sign of a very active, very imaginative brain. But that same brain has one overriding job that it has had since before humans built cities or wrote books or started businesses. Its job is to keep you safe. And to your brain, effort that might lead to failure looks a lot like a threat. So when you sit down to work on something that matters to you, something with real stakes, something where failure would hurt, your brain doesn't see ambition. It sees risk, and it does what it's been designed to do for thousands of years. It protects you. It offers you something easier, something that feels good right now, something with no risk of failure. Your phone, a show, a snack, anything that gives you a small shot of dopamine without the discomfort of uncertainty. This isn't weakness, this is biology, and understanding that difference is the first step to actually changing it. Let me show you exactly how this plays out. There are 3 specific psychological patterns that create this loop, and once you see them, you'll recognize all 3 in your own life. Pattern 1. Mental exhaustion before physical action. Here's something most people never realize. You are already working, even when it looks like you're not doing anything. Your mind runs constantly, planning, imagining, evaluating, rehearsing conversations, calculating risks, picturing success, and then immediately picturing everything that could go wrong. This consumes real cognitive energy, the same energy you need to actually do the thing. So by the time you sit down to start, your brain is already depleted. What looks like laziness from the outside is actually the aftermath of intense invisible work. You're not avoiding action. You're recovering from a kind of mental labor that nobody sees, including you. Pattern 2. You're motivated by the vision, not the process. Think about how you feel when you imagine achieving your goal. Really sit with it for a second. The freedom, the pride, the version of your life that feels possible. That feeling is real. Your brain lights up. Now think about how you feel when you think about the actual steps, the spreadsheet, the first awkward draft, the uncomfortable phone call, the slow, unglamorous daily work. That feeling is different, flatter, heavier. This is the gap that kills most ambitions. Your brain has been trained by the vision, but it hasn't been trained by the process. And since motivation follows dopamine and the daily steps don't trigger the same response as imagining the outcome, you find yourself excited about your goal but unable to move toward it. The destination thrills you, the road does not, and your brain will always choose the thrill. Pattern 3. Perfectionism is fear. Wearing a mask. And then there's this one, the one that might be the most important to understand. You're not waiting for the right moment. You're waiting for conditions that guarantee you won't fail. You want to start when you feel ready, when you have enough time, when you've learned enough, when the plan is solid enough, when the circumstances are finally right. But here's what perfectionism actually is. Underneath all the preparation and the planning and the waiting for readiness, perfectionism is your brain's most sophisticated excuse to never begin, because if you never begin, you can never fail. And if you can never fail, you never have to feel the thing you're most afraid of. The problem is that moment of perfect readiness never comes. It can't, because your brain keeps moving the goalposts, so your ambition stays alive, vivid and detailed and real, inside your head. While outside, nothing changes. Here's the counterintuitive truth most productivity advice will never tell you. Trying to fight these patterns with willpower is like trying to outswim a current. The problem isn't your discipline. The problem is that you're using the wrong strategy entirely. What if instead of fighting your brain, you just stopped and worked with it instead? So what do you actually do? Not the generic advice, not just be more disciplined. The real answer. Here are 3 things that actually work, not because they're magic, but because they're designed to work with how your brain actually functions. Strategy 1. Make the first step embarrassingly small. I want you to forget everything you've heard about big goals and massive action. Just for now. Your brain has one rule when it comes to starting. The cost of beginning must feel smaller than the benefit of avoiding. Right now, for most of us, that calculation always favors avoidance. The goal feels too big. The potential failure feels too painful. So avoidance wins. The solution is to make the beginning so small that avoidance becomes the harder choice. Not 20 minutes, not 1 hour, 2 minutes, genuinely 2 minutes. Tell yourself you will work on this for exactly 2 minutes. That's it. That's the whole commitment. Because here's what your brain doesn't tell you. Starting is the hardest part. Once you're in motion, something shifts. Momentum is real. The physics change. What felt like pushing a boulder uphill starts to feel like rolling a ball downhill. But you have to start. 2 minutes is enough to start. And after 2 minutes, keep going if you want, or stop. You kept your promise to yourself either way, and the next time will be a little easier, and the time after that, easier still. Small and consistent beats large and occasional. Every single time. Strategy 2. Design your environment before you need willpower. Here's something important. The most productive people you admire don't have more discipline than you. They have better environments. Willpower is a resource. It depletes throughout the day like a battery. Every decision you make, even a small one, drains it a little more, which means by the time you sit down to do your most important work, your willpower may already be nearly gone. The solution isn't more willpower, it's fewer decisions. Put your phone in another room before you start. Not on silent, in another room. Clear your workspace the night before, so morning you doesn't have to make that decision. Close every tab that isn't related to what you're working on. Set a specific time that is for focused work only and treat that time as an appointment you cannot cancel. Remove the friction from doing the right thing, add friction to doing the wrong thing. When your environment is set up correctly, focus isn't a matter of motivation. It becomes the path of least resistance. And your brain will always take the path of least resistance. Make sure that path leads somewhere worth going. Strategy 3. Stop preparing. Start producing. This one might sting a little, and I say it with complete warmth. At some point, all the research, all the planning, all the consuming of content about how to be more productive, it stops being preparation and starts being a very comfortable form of avoidance. Your brain loves this. It gets the feeling of progress, the satisfaction of learning, the sense of moving forward without any of the real risk that comes from actually creating something. But you already know what you need to know. You have known for a while. What you're waiting for isn't more information, it's permission. So here it is. Your first attempt will be imperfect. Your first draft will be rough. Your first version of anything will fall short of the vision in your head. That is not failure. That is the process. Every person who has ever built anything worth building started with something imperfect. Imperfect and done beats perfect and imagined, always. Right now, in this moment, Your brain is doing something clever. It's letting you watch this video and calling it progress. It's giving you the feeling of moving forward without the discomfort of actually moving. This video is not the work. This is the warm-up. The work starts the moment you close it, and that moment can be right now. Here's what actually happens when you start, even with something small. Your brain gets new information. Instead of continuing to update its model of you as someone who avoids, it receives evidence of someone who acts, and that evidence matters. Not dramatically, not all at once, but it matters. The second day is a little easier than the first, not because you've transformed, but because you've shown your brain something different. You've created a moment of proof, and proof, real evidence from your own life, is the only thing that actually changes self-belief. Not motivation, not inspiration, not another video or podcast or book about productivity. Action. The version of yourself you've been imagining? That person isn't waiting for you on the other side of some massive breakthrough. They're being built right now, in the small decisions, in the ordinary moments where you choose the thing that matters over the thing that's easy, not because you feel ready, not because the timing is perfect, but because you decided to. That's the only difference between the person you are and the person you want to be. A decision, followed by another, followed by another. If any of this described you, if you recognized yourself in that morning routine, in the guilt, in the gap between who you are and who you know you could be, I want you to know something. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're not uniquely flawed. You have a brain that was built to protect you, and now that you understand how it works, you can start working with it. So here's what I want you to do. Not tomorrow. Right now, in the next 2 minutes after you close this video, pick one thing, just one. Something small enough that you can't talk yourself out of it. One paragraph, one email, 5 minutes of the thing you've been avoiding. It doesn't matter what it is. What matters is that it's real, it's specific, and it's today. Set a timer for 2 minutes. Sit down. Start. That's it. That's the whole instruction. Not because 2 minutes will change your life, but because starting will. And you can start in 2 minutes. The person you've been imagining isn't waiting for you to be ready. They're waiting for you to begin. If this gave you a new way of understanding yourself, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe if you want more psychology explained in a way that actually helps. I'll see you in the next one.